What if you had instant analytics on your PDP images and a faster way to create content that performs better? That's what we're diving into in today's episode, how top brands and retailers are using analytics and automation to stay ahead across retail media and the digital shelf. It's Rapid helps teams scale smarter. They analyze image performance, they help you create optimized assets for retail media networks and the digital shelf, and they integrate directly with PIM and DAM systems for seamless execution. Brands like Pepsi, Mondelez, and Instacart use It's Rapid to go beyond basic tools to uncover gaps in PDP and retail media performance by analyzing the images themselves, not just the count. Streamline banner creation across hundreds of formats for Amazon Ads, Walmart Connect, and other retail and social platforms, and launch high-performing content more than 80% faster across e-commerce and marketing channels. If you're buried in manual work or struggling to keep up, this episode and It's Rapid will show you a better way. Visit itsrapid.ai to learn more.
Welcome to Beyond the Shelf with Dave Feinlieb. This show is an open exploration of the people and process behind e-commerce. Through conversations with innovators in the space, we learn the stories of these leaders and their strategies for e-commerce success. We publish new episodes every Tuesday morning, so be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And now, here's your host, Dave Feinlieb.
Welcome back to Beyond the Shelf. Today we're joined by Molly Hjelm, Corporate Vice President and Head of Retail Media at Ace Hardware. Before joining Ace, Molly served as Head of Ad Sales at Dollar General's DG Media Network, where she helped build and scale one of the fastest growing RMNs in the country. She's also held senior roles at 8451, Spins, and dunnhumby, giving her a unique perspective on retail data, shopper insights, and media monetization. Now at Ace, she's applying that expertise to a very different kind of retail media model, one that blends national scale with hyper-local impact. We'll get into how she's helping brands tap into that network, what performance looks like in a category like hardware, and why RMN growth still comes down to getting the fundamentals right. Molly, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, David.
Take us back. How'd you first get started in retail and media?
I love this question because I feel like everybody has come to retail media by a different path. And mine was through consulting with brands using retailer first-party data, which I found just so fascinating. Early on in my career, I was really enamored of it because it meant that you could really anticipate what your shoppers wanted without needing to do traditional market and behavioral research. And so just the benefit that can provide to a shopper, I really loved that idea. And I loved working hand in hand with brands around something that was really tangible to be able to say, these are the results. This is what we're seeing now. What are we going to do about it? And I think what was interesting at that time was there wasn't a lot that we could do in real time as we were identifying some of those business pain points or lapsed customers leaving the brands or migrating to other areas in a category. You're really limited to product marketing, packaging marketing, and product innovation, direct mail, sometimes email, and a very limited distribution. And so retail media, for me, I was so excited about it conceptually because it meant that as we identified business pain points in the data, suddenly we could reach customer pain point or customers at that same level of granularity with a marketing message and measure the impact to sales to see if we actually had addressed the pain point at hand.
So much more real time right away.
Exactly.
So great. And tell us about your career. You've had so many great roles, great organizations. What are some of the key moments that really shape things for you?
Yeah, I feel lucky in that I found this industry, the world of retailer data right out of school, and just continuing to follow the thread of what was driving my curiosity. allowed me to take on new and evolved roles as what was possible in the tech ecosystem, as far as what was possible in connecting the dots between offline behavior and in-store behavior and somebody's digital dust they have online on them. I was able to evolve my career to go from consulting on the data to this world of retail media. And I remember those early moments, those formative moments of what it felt like to stretch almost from one world into the other, of insights consulting into this whole other ecosystem that was very well established of media, and feeling like, a baptism by fire, feeling like you were speaking an entirely different language and mustering your way through it, and knowing that there was value to both sides, to being able to figure out, how do you bridge that gap? How do you speak to the value of purchase-based targeting and really sell the value of purchase-based measurement to an industry that already had existing standards? And so I found that it really drove my energy. It was something that I just really loved.
Did you see it as a risk when you moved from sort of the data world to the retail media world? Or were you like, hey, this is a great opportunity, I'm going to go for it?
I'm pretty risk tolerant. So I felt like I felt lucky in that I could just kind of go with what was bringing me energy and bringing me passion in the moment. And that was really continuing to follow this thread of what can we do with purchase data at the center, and how could this translate to activation? I've definitely had moments in my career, and I feel also lucky to have had at least one major moment in my career where I could identify that nuance of, in our culture, we really glorify hard work. But there are times where every job feels hard. And but that's not the same as work that completely drains you. And so having this experience early on in my career of really following my passion, having a moment where that was maybe out of that alignment, and then being able to come back and say, not just, can I do this job, but will this job flow for me? Has really continued to guide me in the more recent years of my career.
That's a great way to put it. I think I know the answer to this one, but what's keeping you motivated and excited today?
Maybe you could tell this from my other answers, but I just love how quickly this industry evolves and how much it has evolved since I first got into it. It really keeps you challenged and growing and uncomfortable in all the right ways. And the partnerships. Retail media is itself a small industry, a relatively small industry. And you end up getting to know people for the long haul, not just as clients or as partners, but as friends and confidants and people that are kind of pushing your own learning and growth forward. And I really have come to appreciate that.
Ace Hardware, I think we've all been to one, and we all go to one when we need something. We've got one right down the street here. Tell us what brought you to the company.
I love that you say that in introduction of us, because really, we are known for our helpfulness. And that's what I know Ace Hardware for as well. And so at its core, it is a helpful retailer, and that's a customer experience when they go into the store. For me, in the world of retail media and in my career, Ace Hardware was a brand new challenge and also an opportunity to diversify to another part of the retail media industry. I had spent most of my career in grocery and then in dollar. Colin was on CPG brands, but Ace represented a whole nother side of really the opportunity to bring these toolkits and a mature retail media mindset to what was still a more nascent and emerging capability in hardware. And that, in addition to the fact that it has all the foundational elements that you would want as an advertiser considering a new advertising ecosystem. Ace feels local, but is actually a huge co-op retailer with 5,100 stores nationally. We're growing almost 200 stores annually. We've got the digital reach with 60 million profiles, a long-established loyalty program, and a sizable e-commerce business that's growing 30% year over year. And so that scale, that reach, that growth is really what led me to just know that this is a fertile place to build an advertising ecosystem. It's going to provide value to our vendor partners.
Amazing opportunity on in-store, potentially on e-com with digital, and then new store openings, and just the sheer scale of the numbers you're talking about make it a really interesting surface area, I think, for advertisers and for shoppers.
Yep, absolutely. We're fundamentally different than a lot of retailers out there in that we are a co-op of independent retailers. And so as I think about, one of our biggest advantages, and you hit on this in your intro, is really that we appear to our customers to be hyperlocal, and we are, because those independent retailers have the ability to have full control over the store experience, over the assortment that flows through their store. And so they can be very locally relevant in a way at a hyperlocal level that is not possible for other retailers, while still benefiting from a national name. And so from that standpoint, it's really not a replicable model in retail. It's pretty unusual.
Super unique. Other advantages that you think about when it comes to Ace and sort of the retail media opportunity?
One of the other areas that I have been pretty excited about coming in is just Ace has this philosophy of existing to keep brands in business for the next 100 years. And so being both a retailer, but also a company that really understands the value of strong brands and is committed to supporting them through our advertising of Ace, you'll notice that a lot of brands appear front and center in our marketing of us as a retailer. You'll see grilling vendors and power tool vendors that are kind of part and parcel of as their sales grow, so does Ace's opportunity because they have exclusive assortment in our stores. And so that mindset is something that I really like, the idea that you can anticipate that you'll be very well supported in the ways that a retailer can support you through marketing, but also have a retail media toolkit at your fingertips to have more control over your brand results, where and when you want to deploy them. I think that balance is often what vendors are seeking from other retailers and maybe aren't always satisfied with the answer.
So a real partnership with the brands, and what I'm hearing is a long-term view, which is really great.
Absolutely.
Now, you mentioned being drawn to the space earlier because you like the speed of retail media. This is a perfect setup for my next question. You've stood up a full retail media network in just a few months here. First of all, tell us about that, and then how did you pull it off?
If you would have told me that my remit at Ace would have been to stand up a retail media network in about 5 months, just a couple of years ago, I would have told you that was insane, that was not possible. But even in the last few years, the tech stack and the ecosystem and the partnerships now have really evolved and matured in a way that for us, with our partnership with Epsilon Retail Media, we're able to lean in as a retailer. We're able to kind of bring the best of our assets, our audiences, our shopper habits and behaviors, our sales data, and plug them into the industry's leading UI, UX and standardized measurement and media buying, and really have that complement of, our data set and their technology in a way that just wasn't possible a couple of years ago. And so we're thrilled that we've been able to move this quickly, and not just move this quickly to stand something up, but to be able to move this quickly and stand up a portfolio that rivals some of the more mature players with offsite, in-store, and on-site launching from day one. To have that many tools available to marketers really makes this offering all the more compelling as it's combined with our reach and our scale.
This episode of Beyond the Shelf is brought to you by It's Rapid. It's Rapid is the platform Pepsi, Mondelez, Instacart, and hundreds of other leading brands and retailers use to build personalized content at scale. Whether that's images, videos, or product descriptions for their product detail pages, shoppable videos or banners for their digital ad campaigns, or sell sheets for sales enablement, brands that use It's Rapid are able to produce high-quality, on-brand content on average more than 80% faster than category competitors. To find out more, please visit itsrapid.ai.
And tell us about the tech. Has it just fundamentally changed? Is it just maturing in the space? What's kind of different today than perhaps when you started out in the space?
For us, for our decision here, it was about finding a single player that could help us do some of the things that are otherwise fragmented. So things like ID resolution, things like media buying and media planning and measurement. A lot of the times, retailers are building some portion of that in-house, or they're creating their own partnerships externally with publishers. And here, we're really trying to make this as seamless as possible for our advertiser community to be able to take advantage of some of the leading tools and known UI UX in the industry, and not have to forge our own individual partnerships, which then create fragmentation in measurement and execution and interoperability.
So great. Now, I want to ask you a little bit about audiences and about AI. First off, kind of retail media 101. What is an audience? And as a brand, how should I be thinking about that?
Yeah, what I love about retail media, and this goes back to the kind of start of my career, I love the ability to identify a business pain point or a business struggle at a fine grain, at the level of granularity, to be able to say my sales are up or down because this customer cohort is leaving me, or I don't have as consistent a purchase cycle as I'd like, or as frequent of a purchase cycle as I'd like. Or I need to drive more awareness, which then translates to more visits. In identifying very clearly in the data what that problem statement is, it allows you then through retail media to create a purchase-based audience that's exhibiting that behavior. So if it's a lapsing customer, or if it's somebody that has a longer purchase cycle, and to be able to communicate with that customer wherever they're spending their time online, and then measure the impact of your messaging to that customer. That's the power of retail media. And so the audience, the ability to create an audience based off of purchase behavior is really what's unique.
Super interesting. Now, once I have the purchase data, does that give me an edge in reaching the right shoppers?
Yes. And it just helps drive a more efficient buy, because once you know upfront the specific pain point, it's the difference between my sales are down, I'm going to go do some marketing, and I'm going to reach the customers that I believe contextually or demographically may respond to my messaging, versus I want to incentivize this group of customers to come back one more time more quickly to buy my product again. And so in that sense, you're able to just cut through the crowd and reach exactly who you want to reach with an exact message, and then measure the impact at that same level of detail as well.
So a much more focused approach to being able to connect with the customer.
Yes, well said.
All right. Tell us about AI. No podcast, no conversation is complete these days without some mention of AI. Where is that coming into play when you're thinking about working with partners, when brands are optimizing their campaigns?
I think machine learning, large language models, AI are a really exciting kind of evolution and stream that's happening concurrently with the evolution of retail media, because it opens up the potential that even though I feel that precision targeting and the ability to reach customers based off of their purchase behavior has a leg up on more broad reach targeting and marketing, it is an evolution to use AI to help identify the right customer based off of those that it deems are most likely to exhibit the outcome or the KPI that you seek is certainly a next step in an evolution of what we're doing. And it means that you can, instead of having to manually select a purchase-based audience up front, and maybe you've got a few cohorts and you're checking to see how they're delivering on your KPIs, this allows you to allow the model to identify those that are most likely to exhibit that behavior. And they're probably going to do it because there's so many variables that can go into that it can analyze at once and in real time and see the responsiveness. It's going to be better, more accurate, more efficient than any human designed audience is going to be upfront.
Makes total sense. You mentioned measurement. What's working? What still needs work?
There's so many threads in media right now in the industry. There's talk of, a lack of standardization across retail media networks. There's a lot of pushing for measurement to become more real time. And there are a lot of opinions about certain metrics in measurement, whether they're valuable or not valuable, like ROAS and iROAS. I think in general, what you're looking for is more completeness in the measurement. You want to make sure as much data as possible is flowing through to the measurement. It's not projected, that it is as real time as possible. And so you're able to kind of digest those signals as close to real time as possible. And when it comes to standardization, you just want to make sure that you're aligned definitionally on what terms mean. To some extent, every retailer is going to have different purchase cycles, different types of data, different types of shoppers. And so true exact standardization across attribution windows and things like that may not ever be possible. But as long as we're aligned on just the foundational elements of how to define some of those terms, it feels like a good first step. And we've definitely made strides on that in the last few years.
Perfect. I want to switch gears now and talk about content and partnerships. In retail media, you look at a lot of media, I imagine. What makes ad content stand out and really connect with the shopper?
Personalization has always been the kind of the tentpole of retail media, the cornerstone of retail media. And so the ability to get even more personalized and have dynamic creative and have AI optimizing behind the scenes, all of those things getting more real time with them and more sophisticated in those models is really, exciting, but still just an evolution on what has always been our foundational element, which is that personalization that's possible when you know someone's behavior and can tailor a message to them specifically.
Makes sense. And any trends you're seeing, any content that stands out for you in some of your conversations with advertisers?
For us, because this is, and I'll speak just to the Ace Hardware ecosystem, because this is a brand new toolkit that we're making available to our partners, what we anticipate is going to be very exciting for brands is just that ability to be able to provide their own branded message with an Ace shopper at the time of their choosing, in the marketing vehicle of their choosing, just the level of control that they can have over who they're engaging with and how their brand is coming through. And so for us, I think it just looks like a huge new opportunity for those brands really to have more control.
So great. Now, you've got this new network. You stood it up in 5 months, record time. You go into a conversation with a brand. What does a great partnership look like?
A great partnership, and this has been consistent across everywhere that I've worked, and you can really feel what a good partnership feels like. But for me, that's partners who are coming to the table and putting skin in the game and enough investment to get the right amount of learnings in order to really understand how to utilize a new toolkit that they're being provided with or a new channel that they're engaging with. And I think it can be really tempting for brand marketers to come forward with a very minimal investment and say, all right, prove to me that $1 that I spent, paid out, and then we'll forge a relationship off of that. And I think the flip of that, the ones who really get it are the ones who are asking, how much investment would be needed for us to see market moving results or to see, to really make this work for us. And we're taking that level of investment, we're planning on it, and it gives us enough diversity of tactics and targeting so that we can gain some pretty granular learnings along the way.
So partners that are true partners, to put it another way.
Yeah.
All right. I like it. Looking ahead, where do you see some of the exciting opportunities on the horizon for retail media?
It's a good question. I think it's hard to go back and just say AI, but I think the way that AI is shaping our industry, we've experienced a huge speed of evolution to now, and it's only going to continue to push forward the level of helpfulness, the level of personalization, the level of precision, and the level of optimization that's possible in real time. And so just getting ready to see that blow the hinges off of everything, in addition to, AI and agentic shopping, I think is really interesting too, because it really has the potential to disrupt the almost publisher entities that retailers have been building within their own walls.
100%. Well, it's time for the rapid rundown. This is a few fast-paced questions, your quick thoughts. Back to measurement first off, ROAS or iROAS?
Both. My answer is both. People really hate ROAS these days, hate on ROAS, but you need it for real-time optimization and real-time data signals as to how your media is working if you're optimizing to sales. iROAS is always on a lag. And so to have both and to recognize that they're going to be different is really powerful. And then iROAS just helps you truly understand the incrementality of the media that wouldn't have happened absent the exposure. And so to me, it is the gold standard.
All right. What brings you into an ACE most frequently?
Greeting cards. I walk up to my local Ace. I use it like a convenience store, and they have a whole rack of greeting cards. So that's where I always buy mine.
So great. Your favorite ACE experience?
I had the opportunity to spend the afternoon at my local Ace recently, and they were telling me that they know the timing of all the high school science projects. And in anticipation of the high schoolers coming in on those key weeks, they pre-cut the materials that they need. So they know the exact tubing and the exact length of rod that they need, and they pre-cut them for the high schoolers. And I just love that.
That's so great. That's really being tuned in.
I know. It's being hyper local and super helpful. Yeah.
Yeah. How do you unwind after a week of calls and campaigns?
Going for a walk outside, getting a little outside time and just moving your body a little bit, I think is always good.
Way to do it. And the best way for our listeners to reach you?
Probably on LinkedIn. Have them reach out to me on LinkedIn.
Sounds great. We'll include that in the show notes. Well, Molly, thank you for sharing your experience, journey from data to retail media. And I think the thing that I learned on this episode was you can bring the data and the retail media together. And that's really the big unlock.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Oh, yeah. I hope you'll come back and join us again on Beyond the Shelf.
I would love that. Thank you so much for having me.
That's it for this week's episode of Beyond the Shelf. If you enjoy the show, be sure to like, subscribe, and leave us a review. It really helps us grow. And feel free to share us with your colleagues so they too can hear weekly perspectives from the brightest minds in e-commerce. You can also check us out on LinkedIn, where we post clips from each episode, share Dave's takes on breaking industry news, and much more. Beyond the Shelf is a production of It's Rapid. Our host is Dave Feinlieb, and our producers are Sean Levy-Ashvili and Jake Musiker. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time on Beyond the Shelf.